My dad called periods disgusting. Then my little brother destroyed him. Growing up, my dad was old school, the kind of man who thought emotions were weakness and real men didn't talk about gross stuff. When my mom passed away when I was 14, that belief hardened into something worse. He treated anything remotely feminine as an inconvenience. It was just me, dad, and my younger brother Evan, who was 10 at the time. And even though he was just a kid, Evan had more empathy than most adults I knew. One afternoon, I was in the kitchen, curled up with cramps so bad I could barely stand. I dropped a pad from the cabinet and dad walked in just as I picked it up. He frowned like I'd done something wrong. Can't you be more careful? That stuff's disgusting. You don't need to be leaving it around the house. I remember freezing. The embarrassment burned through me. He said it so casually, like I'd left something shameful on the counter instead of a medical product. It's not disgusting, I muttered, but he cut me off. I don't want your brother seeing that. He's a boy. He doesn't need to know about that. He said it like that word was poison. Evan was in the living room, pretending not to hear, but I saw his little hands tighten on his video game controller. I went to my room, fighting tears. For the next few weeks, I tried to be invisible. I'd hide my pads under my bed, sneak to the bathroom quietly, and pretend nothing was wrong, but Evan noticed. He always did. A few months later, our school hosted a family health night. It was a small event. Teachers talked about nutrition, basic health, puberty, the usual awkward stuff. Dad didn't want to go, but Evan begged him to. He was learning about human biology and said it was kinda cool. Halfway through, one of the speakers, a young nurse, started talking about menstruation. She explained how it's natural, how it keeps the body healthy. A few dads chuckled uncomfortably, but the nurse smiled and kept going. That's when my dad leaned over to another father and said, not quietly, I don't know why they talk about that filth in front of kids. The words hit me like a slap. I saw the nurse's face falter for just a second, but she continued. My cheeks burned. I wanted to disappear. But before I could even open my mouth, I heard Evan's voice, clear, confident, and sharp. It's not filth, Dad, it's biology. You know, like how you lose skin cells every day or how your body sweats to stay cool. It's just the body working. The room went dead silent. Dad turned red. Evan, he started, but Evan wasn't done. And if you think it's disgusting, maybe you should be glad Mom had periods. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be alive. The entire audience turned to look. Some people gasped. The nurse actually smiled. Dad didn't say another word. On the car ride home, no one spoke. The tension was thick enough to choke on. When we got home, Dad walked straight to his room. Evan went to mine, sat beside me, and said quietly, you shouldn't have to feel bad for something normal. I hugged him so tight I could barely breathe. The next morning, something strange happened. When I came downstairs, Dad was already at the table. There was a pack of pads on the counter, the brand I always used. He cleared his throat and said, without looking at me, I didn't know it was that bad. I'll try to do better. It wasn't an apology exactly, but coming from him, it was monumental. Evan just smiled over his cereal. Guess health class works, huh? Over the next few months, Dad slowly changed. Small things first. He stopped making comments, started letting conversations about women's health happen without awkwardness. Then one day, he even donated to a school fundraiser that provided sanitary products to low-income students. He didn't tell anyone. I only knew because I saw his name on the donor sheet. Years later, at Thanksgiving, the topic somehow came up again when one of my cousins was teasing his girlfriend about PMS. My dad, of all people, interrupted him. Don't be an idiot. Respect that stuff. You wouldn't exist without it. Everyone went quiet and then laughed awkwardly. But I caught Evan's eye across the table and he just winked. Because that day at family health night, that was when my little brother taught my dad more about being a man than anyone else ever could.